This was a story about a boy named Tim. He was 9, and he had a lot of bullying problems, but he had a much worse experience with him. It was a Friday afternoon, and Tim was playing on the playground until Derek, the bully of the school, and his goons trying to get in the playground tunnel, so they grabbed Tim when it was his turn and pushed him off the playground and landed in the mulch. When he collapsed on the ground, he felt pain running through him. Later, when Tim was about to go to band practice at 4:00 p.m., Derek and his goons stopped in front of him. They were mad that Tim told on them, so they wanted Tim to pay. They started pulling Tim's brown hair and pound him on the ground. The other band members watched. Tim then kicked one of the bullies' chest and climbed over the playground fence. He ran while the bullies chased him through the school woods until he hid in a abandoned daycare, where the wood was so rotten even the painted rainbow didn't look magical anymore. When Tim went inside, he saw a little tube tunnel that kids used. It was blue with some rips in it. The bullies stopped. One of them said, "I am not going in there." The other bully said, "Me either. That place is said to be haunted." The bullies left, but Tim didn't know that, so he stayed in there for 2 hours. It was starting to get dark, but he wanted to see the end of the tunnel. So he crawled through, and he was back in the forest, but no daycare, and it was daytime. He started exploring a little bit, until he saw something that looked like a very funny statue, but it started moving, and it walked towards him. The thing was 8 feet tall, and it was skinny. It had a box for a head and body. Its limbs were made out of tube tunnels, and its mouth looked like that as well, with a big hole that led to darkness. And his eyes were wooden that looked like googly eyes, and they were huge. And the creature's skin, or should it even be called skin, was red with white stripes, and some had dots on it. And Tim was scared, but the creature bended down and asked him a question through its non-moving mouth. It said, "Do you want to be friends?" Tim was a little confused because he thought this thing was just trying to lead him into a trap, because his parents always told him never to trust anything that looks too good to be true. He was a little suspicious at first, but the creature was just standing there waiting for an answer. So Tim said, "All right, let's play a game of tag." So Tim and the creature started. Tim was it, and he was chasing the creature. He was playing for around about 2 hours, it felt like. But when he said goodbye to the creature, he went back through the tunnel, and it was still nighttime on the other side. And when he looked at his watch, it said it was 6:02, and that was strange, because he got in the tunnel at 4, and he stayed in there for a really long time until he inside the tunnel world, and it felt like 2 hours, but when he came through, it was only 2 minutes. He was a little skeptical about it, but he just decided to brush it off. Later, he came back to his parents, and they were worried about where he was because he didn't show up for band practice. He just told them that he ran from the bullies and hid in the daycare. But he didn't mention anything about the creature that he saw. He didn't even know if it was a creature or not. He could have thought it was probably just some really tall man in a costume, probably. But later on in school, he was daydreaming about him playing tag with that creature. because it just felt so much fun, because since he never really had any friends. So he decided to go back there later on, sometime after school. So when it was not band practice, he went through the tunnel again, and the creature was waiting for him on the other side. The creature did not have a name, though, because when Tim asked, it just raised up its shoulders, because it didn't know its name. But they played many games for a long time. They started talking about each other, and Tim asked how long the creature has been living in there, and the creature just replied, he's been living there for just a very long time. No Pacific year, just a very long time. And so this became a repeated process. Tim would visit the creature when it was not band practice, on days when it was not band practice. He just continued seeing that creature, playing games with it. He even learned that the creature was male, so he could call him a he now instead of creature or it. So they were having such a blast that even he was daydreaming in school about playing with the creature more often, as the teachers had to keep on smacking the rulers on his desk so he would be paying attention. Now, one day, on one afternoon, he came through the tunnel, and he didn't see the creature at all until when he was looking around for a couple of minutes, the creature jumped out of a bush trying to prank him. So they started playing again and again until it was time for Tim to go. But the creature asked him a question. The creature said that you could go back through the tunnel, or you could live here with me forever. So Tim thought it would be cool to live with this creature forever since it was his only friend, but he knew his parents would miss him, so he just thought about just visiting the creature rather than living there. So the creature was okay with that decision, but the creature wanted to play one game of hide and seek. Since this was new and him and the creature have not done this, he just thought, okay. And the creature even showed him a whole place filled with tunnels, those little tube tunnels. They were all pink with white stripes and black polka dots. So he started crawling through it, and he was trying to hide from the creature. But while the creature was counting to 100, then counted to 85, then counted to 75, and then so on, Tim started noticing a very odd scent in the tunnels. It smelled so horrible, like he could gag. It smelled like his old gym socks. So when he was further wandering around, he saw a decaying skeleton in there, and then he was scared. He was in shock. What was that doing in there? He questioned himself. He kept on going and going and going until he saw another corpse, but it looked like it was only a couple years old, since it looked like it didn't fully have its skin all the way off. So he kept on going and going, and saw more and more. The scent got even worse. He saw more corpses, and he was starting to get very nervous, until the creature stopped and said, time to find him. So the creature was ready to find him. And when he looked through one of the tunnels, he saw the creature started growing these yellow, rotten teeth through his mouth. And these long, dark hands and arms and feet and legs growing through it. And his arms were so long, and his fingers were even really long as well. And they had small tips coming all the way at the top. They were so scary, they almost looked like spiders. One of Tim's phobias. So Tim was starting to get very nervous as this creature was trying to find him. The creature even started growing a tongue, a really long one, through his mouth. Tim was panicking. He decided to try to hide from the creature for a really long time. But then the creature started crawling a little bit near him through the tubes. So Tim tried to run out of there, and then the creature grabbed his leg. And the creature said, "If you're not going to be here with me, then I suggest I can be with you." So the creature just grabbed his leg and was about to drag him through the tunnels. But Tim fought, and he knew what he had to do. He had to kick the creature's head, so he did. And the creature was in pain for a little bit, with a nasty roar, as Tim went through the blue ripped tunnel and made it back to the daycare. But the creature started crawling out as well. It seemed like the real world didn't affect him at all. So he started crawling through, but suddenly the creature's scent alerted a pack of wolves. The wolves started busting in while Tim retreated, and then he could only hear the creature's roars as the wolves pounced on him. And Tim doesn't know what happened next because he already made it back to the school. But even now, Tim is 23, and he still, all through his life, had nightmares of seeing that creature again. That is why he's scared of those little kid tubes. He thinks that he'll see that creature's long black fingers. And he even feels like that it's not a branch that is knocking through his window, but rather that creature's fingers waiting for him. And that is the end.